Good morning, everyone. It's Miss T. I hope you slept well and you woke up this morning in good spirits, spent some time with the Lord, and that you have a blessed day. This morning, I wanted to discuss a couple of things. Like I said, I either scroll through social media or something that happens that in my life or something to discuss. But I was disturbed when I went through social media yesterday. I know they have a thing called what is it, where people fight and they film those fights. I can't think of the name right now. But anyways, I came across this on an IG thing, scrolling on there, and evidently the moral fiber of our society is hanging on by a thread, just a thread. I know it's probably, those things are put up for shock value. So you're probably getting everything, that would shock you all at once. So, video after video after video. So the first video I seen was a prison video where these men attacked another man. White, I assume it was in the open. They weren't in a cell or anything. And he was screaming. At first, I didn't know what they were doing. I thought that they were, punching him or sticking him with something. But no, that's not what they were doing. They assaulted him, and the evidence was clear. I just want to know, this is acceptable? Is this like when we're here, when we don't have a choice, we do what we do, but when we're back out on the street, we're back to being the big? Because I don't understand that you can't separate that. You go out on the street and call people derogatory names when they're wearing, whatever, or acting different or doing something differently, like they're not man-ish enough. But then you go into lockup and you do these kind of things and you're still a man. I don't understand. I don't get that concept. It's all the same. I don't care if it's just because you're in there or whatever. It's still the same. And I don't know if people have a different meaning, or I don't even want to know. I don't even care if there's a code. People will try to make sin just make sense, and it just doesn't. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I seen that, and of course, you don't want to. He seemed like he was suffering, and I just hope that he got help. But the next clip that I seen was two women who just, were going to fight, because, I learned that women make appointments to fight, meet me at so-and-so, and so they go up there, and then there's a crowd drawn, and then they fight, and people film it and put it on, what is that thing called? World Star, is that what, and they fight, And sometimes these are grown women. Now, I don't think it's right in either way, but teenagers and kids, I would expect. But grown women, not at all. Um, not at all. There was a story about a woman who took her two daughters, I think they were 19 or 20, to fight some woman. Well, the woman knew that they were coming, and so there was three of them and one of her, and so she unalived both the sisters, and the mother ran off and left them. Now, you took your daughters there. The mother, the one who is supposed to have more sense, or better sense, you took your daughters up there and they were unalived, and you ran off and left them there, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. I wish I would take But anyways, these two girls were fighting, people were filming, and I suppose they decided that you're not going to be able to pull my shirt over my head or rip my shirt, so they decided they both were going to take their shirts and bras off and fight in the street, and that's what they did. And then the people filmed it. These were, well, they looked grown. They looked in their 20s. I don't know what other things that I don't see. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that go on. And people like it because it's up there and it has all those likes and people download it or whatever. And so, like I said, when we're being entertained, we're not being educated. I don't know if those two women that were fighting with no shirts on had kids, or I don't know if those two young ladies that their mother drove them to their demise had kids. But some things are just not make absolutely no sense. I don't care if the girl is on Facebook or whatever, calling you this and saying you're that or whatever. First of all, the mother should know. She should have been here. She's been here longer on the earth, and she should know. You don't. Everyone, I guess, should have known or should know, but evidently they don't. To make an appointment to say we're going to come up, meet me so in place so we can fight, you're giving that person an advantage because they know that you're coming, and and you don't know what's on their mind. You might just decide you wanted to get in a fight, but they might decide something else. I value my life. I'm not fighting over a parking space. I'm not fighting over a man. I'm not fighting over the last donut on the shelf. There is no need, well, in my life, in my world, there is no need to fight unless I'm being attacked and I have to defend myself. If someone goes on and calls me all the B's they want to and say this and say that, them are just words. Just words. I don't care. Yep. And my victory is silence. Because I don't have to respond to you. Because I'm not wasting my precious minutes, my precious days or hours responding to nonsense. And when I talk to young girls or whatever, I tell them this. I let them know how, if you put it in a scenario or you talk it the way it sounds ridiculous, and maybe that they can hear it the way you say it, they can see it. Like, yeah, that does sound stupid. I'm gonna. He's messing with both of us, and he told both of us. We both have children by him, and he's not gonna stop messing with both. So we're going to go up here and fight each other. For what? Either you stop messing with him, or you, or both, or continue to have things that there was a story about a fight. They made an appointment, and I'm going to keep saying appointment because it sounds stupid, but that's what it is. Anytime you pencil someone in to do something, that's an appointment. And so they decided they were going to fight or whatever. Now, I don't know if there must have been something else going on, because this couldn't have been. The woman got out and she had her 3-day-old baby in her hands. And they started fighting, and she dropped her baby, and the baby died. I would have, if I was a judge, I would have charged both of them, the mother and the woman, because even if the mother had no sense at all, lady, you see that she has her baby in her hands. Why would you swing or fight with her? Mom, you knew you were going to go and whatever. Now, maybe they didn't make an appointment. Maybe it was an argument that started right there. But if you're arguing with somebody, why would you have your baby in your hands? Now, it could be some very, maybe she had her baby in her hands because she didn't think anyone with good common sense would try to fight her with her baby in her hands. I don't know. But now her baby's gone. And she'll have to live with that for the rest of her life. Sin is absolutely, and that's all you can call it. Some of these things people they come up with new stuff every year, every week, because I can't keep up with all the slang, and I can barely read the please just send me English, because I don't have time to figure out Morse code. I really don't. And if you don't get an answer back, it's because you typed in 3 letters and 4 letters, and I don't know what they mean, so I can't answer you. Anywho, I didn't get to see the outcome of the fight of the 2 women. I think that wasn't even an issue for them. People didn't care who won. They were just wanting to see the fight. And men, who wouldn't be standing around watching that? With all these things going on around us, who was protected when adults don't even act accordingly or do the right thing, make correct decisions? Who is protecting the children? Who are teaching the children? How can you teach your child not to fight when their mom's out in the street with no shirt on, fighting the neighbor or fighting the girl down the street. And so I see it trickles down. So I understand when young girls or girls in junior high are filming themselves fighting. I understand now why 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 12-year-olds believe that they have emotions for the same gender as they are. I can see now why kids are being caught in junior high with drug paraphernalia and vapes and cigarettes and alcohol. And I see now why. Our moral fiber has come to this. Kids don't even get to be a teenager. It used to be kids were so good. I remember when my daughter was so sweet and she went through school and then when just something happened when she went to high school and she started to act up. They don't get to make it to high school. These things are in their face at 11, 10. These kids are having sex at 10, 9, 12, 11, doing grown things that they don't even know anything about. And it's because the parents are out fighting in the street, out making a run of whatever that's called, boosting, and what else? Out tracking baby mamas to see where the baby daddy. Just do it while your child hasn't learned a thing, and now you didn't know that your 12-year-old daughter is pregnant, and she is 5 months now because you hadn't paid attention, because you were off doing your adventures, having girls' night and girls' weekends and stuff like that. Who's going to protect the kids? We used to be afraid of our grandparents. My grandma was 5 foot. She was either 5 foot or 5'1". I was 5'8", and I think I have been 5'8" since I was in 3rd grade. I don't know, but I used to be the tallest in my class. So, and I was afraid. My grandma could say one thing to me and I was shaking. And I remember one time I was in high school and she told me something. Now I wasn't crazy enough to say anything back, but maybe my eyes did something or I smacked. I don't remember. But my grandma told me I will stand on a chair and and I believed her. That was the kind of, it wasn't fear because my grandmother never touched me my whole life, but I respected my grandmother. So it was more like fear out of disappointing her or fear of her, not feeling the same way, thinking that her granddaughter was the same way as she used to be. It wasn't because my grandmother beat me or if I, because like I said, she's never touched me my whole entire life. It's just the stern words. They can tell you if you don't do the, and then the next minute they're baking you cookies and then they're feeding you turpentine and sugar those were the grandmothers. Grandmas today, and I'm not saying all of them, it's not you, if it don't apply, don't have time for that. They're going to the club, and they have girls trips, and they might be fighting out in the street and making appointments and getting their hair done and their nails done, and they're tracking their boyfriends and all that stuff. Not saying that they don't love their grandkids, because they do. It's just a different era. They are younger than what grandparents used to be. Because by the time, let's see, my grandmother, I don't remember. She just was a grandmother. I never remember my grandmother even. She was just wears the grandma coat, the house dress, and bakes cookies and doesn't go anywhere. They might, she stays in the house. She might have a luncheon or stuff like that. That kind of grandma. That she's always there if you needed her, because she didn't go anywhere. She didn't, not saying that she had a boring life or she whatever. That's just, she had little things that she did, but it wasn't, grandma's outside. So if I had an issue and I needed to just speak to my grandma, I knew where she was. Not today's grandmother. And there are, like I said, because I don't want people to think that I am bashing and I'm saying that black people are horrible parents and all, because that's not what I'm saying. If I'm not talking to you, if this is not happening in your house, if this is not your grandmother, if this is not you as a grandmother, I'm not talking to you. I'm making people aware of where we're going, why things are falling apart, and are we going to fix it? Are we going to finally figure out that if we don't fix it, we're going to, a generation of what's going to be next? Because it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So what generation is going to be next? How are the kids just going to finally end up taking care of this? The 5-year-old is at home cooking and taking care of the 6-month-old. What is going to be next? It's sad because kids are brought into the world and then they're subjected to things that they don't understand or things that they shouldn't be seeing, and then they're supposed to take all that in and be a child. And then as a parent, we don't correct it, because it's cute when they're 2 years old and they're running around with a diaper and they're cussing you out, or they're cussing your friends out, and that's cute. And then you don't correct them, and so then when they come home and cuss you out, then now you want to slap them in the mouth or punish them. They're not going to understand why. This is what made you happy for me to do this, and now I'm being punished. We think it's cute that our little baby girls are 1 and 2 years old, and they're putting their boots on the ground and singing Sexy Red songs, and we think that's cute, and we film it, and we don't correct them. So as they get older, they're still, singing the songs and learning all the words, and Then when it's Thanksgiving and you have your other family that comes and everybody comes together and they want to see all the family, and your daughter's in the middle of the floor doing the splits and twerking, and everyone's looking like, how they give that, this side of the family has always been that way. Yeah, I would keep my kids away from that. The moral fiber is hanging on by a string. I sometimes wonder if parents take more. Why does your son know every word to a rap song but keeps getting zeros on his spelling paper, or is not catching on to simple mathematics? So first of all, we know he can learn because he memorized, and I'm sure he didn't write it down. He memorized that song. So don't you think if someone took a moment to sit down and explain to him how whatever goes into whatever, how many times, that he would catch on to that quickly, or she would catch on to that quickly? Our moral fiber is hanging on by a string. Men, if you do not think it's important to stay in your child's life, then there's something wrong with you. Seriously wrong with you. People can just understand what it means, how important it is. If you didn't have a father in your life and you had all those thoughts like, where's my dad and why doesn't he care about me? And if you had all those thoughts, what you want to turn around and make your child have those thoughts and go through that? My cousins, when my aunt and my uncle got a divorce, he was around all the time, and he included me and my siblings in on whatever, if he was taking them somewhere, we would got to go. So I've always called him uncle, and he's still my uncle. But there was days that I was like jealous, I guess. I didn't know if that was what it was. I was a kid, because they had a dad and I didn't. And I don't even I remember got a little bit older, and I remember I was graduating from high school, and I sent an invitation to him. Now he lives in the same city where my cousins and aunts were living, and that was were my first cousins, on my grandmother, on my mom's side. So they knew him. They seen him all the time. So I sent him an invitation, and I didn't think he would come, but I was maybe looking for, I'm proud of you, or, just a phone call or just a card or something, and I didn't get that. And so I remember I was in my room and I was crying. I was crying because I was doubting what did I do that made him not want me, or not want to be around me, or not want to know anything about me. And after I cried, I promised myself I would never cry over a man again. I don't care who it is. I will never let someone bring me to this point. Because your dad is like the first relationship that you have. If you have one in your life and he's treating you good and he's talking to you, keeping you on the straight and narrow, you kind of look for a man like that to be in a relationship. Now, I did have my grandfather, but it's not like, my grandfather had plenty of, a lot of grandkids. I remember my grandfather took me to learn how to ice skate, and he spent a lot of time with me, and I always looked up to him and loved and thanked him for that. But there was something about your dad. And so in my mind, you rejected me, and so men are going to reject you. And he was the first man. So you build up some type of anger towards people that you haven't even met yet. So every man that I meet, I'm going to hurt him before he hurts me, because that's what they do. So I'm just letting you know what things that happen in people's lives, or what you choose, what you don't see, or when you think you're not, the little things that you're doing doesn't affect other people, it does. So men, I don't care if you hadn't seen your child in 5 years, make an effort. You don't know what is going on in your child's life. You don't know how they are being raised, or anything. And then when they get a little older and you find out your daughter is doing things that young girls shouldn't do, and then you want to have a voice, you want to say something, what are you going to say? Who are you going to say it to? She's not going to want to hear anything from you, because where were you from the beginning? And these are true stories. I can just pick out a scenario, and it's a true story. If your sons don't have a father, and I understand, I understand why some young men get into the situations that they get into, because if they don't have a father at home, and the mother doesn't understand, what they're going through, or be able to communicate, and there's men out there who are like father figures, and take them in and talk to them and give them money, and buy them clothes and stuff like that. That's where they're going to gravitate to. So when you don't step in and there's somebody else, you don't know who's stepping in. And so then when you hear on the headlines and everybody's talking about your 16-year-old son who is facing charges on a double homicide, what are you going to say? Who are you going to say it to? Your son's not going to, you can't go up to your son and say, I'm disappointed in you, messed up. You're going to say, I'm disappointed in you, and you messed up. Where were you? Because D whoever, he took me in. I was on the street because I ran away from home because I didn't want to listen to my mom. He took me in. He made sure I had food. He dressed me. He took care of me. all I had to do was do a few things, or do what I was told to do. So don't come back now and try to insert yourself, or because you didn't care enough to make sure that I made it out, or that I made it. You didn't care. And what is so important, that you couldn't take a few minutes just to drive by the house and pick up your son and see if he wanted to go catch ball in the park, or anything. I don't know how a person can just walk away and not think about a child ever again. What is it? Because to me it meant you absolutely did not care about, you didn't love that child, and you didn't want him in the first place. I remember meeting him when I was 7 years old, because like I said, he lived in the same town that my grandparents were from, and my grandparents used to take me to Ohio like every summer, and I met him there one time. And you know how black families are, I tell you. They prepare you to have tough skin. My grandma was the hardest woman. She didn't, like I said, she never told you she loved you. I never seen her cry. Nothing, but you knew that she did by her actions. But my grandma didn't prepare. My grandma, this is how I met him. My grandma took me by the hand. I was playing with my cousins, and my grandma came. I was 7 years old, I believe. My grandma came and she grabbed me by the hand, and set me by this stranger and told me, "This is your dad," and then she walked out. What? You ain't even gonna stay? I don't know this man. You're not even gonna stay here with me? Y'all not gonna explain to me how do I know this is he's a stranger, I don't even know him. How do you know this is my dad? Where'd you find him? Where'd he come from? And so I didn't want to be there. I didn't know him. So of course he would be talking, and I would answer, because I'm like, I don't know you. So, of course, he wanted to show, I don't know if he wanted to show my grandparents he's not a bad guy or whatever. So he wanted to take me to the park, but I would not go. And so he said he was going to take my brother and my cousins. Well, of course I'm going to go now, because my brother and I know them. I'll go to the park. But I don't remember having a conversation with him. I think he was playing basketball with with them, and he never asked me how I'm doing in school, or what toy I like, or I'm gonna try, even if he said try, I'm gonna try to see you, or call you or something like that. And then after that summer, I never heard from him again. So I had, like I said, I had to recondition myself. I had to pretend that, after that cry, that it didn't bother me. I didn't care anymore, and I'm never going to have this feeling again. So when he passed away, I went to Ohio to attend his funeral, and it was like a speed funeral. Here, this is your cousin so and so. This is because this is on his side of the family. This is your sister so and so, and this is your sister. This is your brother, and this is, and most of the women, the sisters or whoever, well, not most, none of them said a word to me. There was, I only connected with one brother that I used to talk to, and he lived in Atlanta at the time. But he used to tell me that he wasn't there for any of them, because I think there was 9 of them. I told you the story. I have 2 brothers named Larry, and me and my sister's name is Tanya. But we didn't know each other. We didn't care. I mean, they didn't care that we knew each other. So when I was there, I wasn't looking at a man. I didn't have tears because I didn't know him. So I was just looking down at him. And then that was it. He's gone. And that was that. I guess maybe me sheltering my feelings helped me not to, break down, or because now that he's gone and I would never ever get a chance to know him or just ever get a chance to ask him why. I found out that he died because he was a drug addict. So I hope that whatever pain and misery he was going through, it ended. Well, not hope, but he didn't have to suffer anymore like that. And I'm going to tell you this story. So, social media has grown over the years, and so if you want to find somebody, it's almost easy to find them. So I remembered I had a brother that had his same exact name. Well, 2 brothers with his same. So I typed it in, and it came up, and the guy that was in the picture, I remember his face being at the funeral, because he looked just like the man who passed away, just like him. Had his name. I don't think he was living in Ohio anymore, but he was living somewhere. And I knew that was him. I seen his face. I could see his face, and he looked just like him. I reached out to him, and this man told me, "You must be mistaken. I don't have a father, or my father's, whatever. So your name is such and such Junior, and his name is such and such Senior, and that's not your father. That's not a coincidence. And I remember seeing you." But he denied even being the man's son, so what could I say? Maybe his childhood was more painful. Maybe him being in his life or not, or whatever, was more harmful than him not being in mine. I don't know. It was lessons that you have or things you go through give you, take pieces of you, mold pieces of you. And if every situation you have encounter you have is not a good one, then you're just molded into a mess. Your whole life is just of you trying to protect you, or not wanting to get close to people because you don't know their intentions, and you don't want to be hurt, and you don't want to, any of that. And so when you but you don't know that you don't know that this is causing you issues or pain or whatever. At first I thought it's horrible to say this, but I thought it was okay to hurt men, like I didn't show affection. I don't even want to be, they didn't have to worry if I didn't want them hanging around. Go hang out with your friends, or because I don't even, it just didn't make a good situation for me. And then, like I said, until I had to learn, I had to heal myself, because I was hurting other people, and then I was causing them having to deal with their pain, and it was just a vicious cycle. It was not their fault. I was putting all of my situations, my childhood, my being a teenager and being in a relationship where you were being abused and essayed, and you're a child, really. I mixed all that together, and then I put it on everyone who approached or just, whatever. And so instead of looking at this person as a totally different human being, you're all the same. And so, yeah, I messed up some good relationships, but I wasn't ready, and I know that the Lord didn't want me to be that way, but maybe my walk was to be alone so that I can make this journey and help other people, and I didn't have something holding me back from doing that. And so I enjoy what I do. I'm alone. I'm not lonely. I don't go on dates because there's no purpose. There's no reason. I don't want to give somebody false, because when you go on dates, this is usually to try to build something. And one thing that the one thing that I do not do is I do not fornicate, because that's a sin. And I try to have as less, if there's a problem, if I have an issue trying to kick one thing or not do one thing, I pray about it. But I prayed about that, and it's fine. I have male friends and I laugh and we have fun, and I like to have fun. I love to joke and to laugh and, do all those good things. But I don't miss the the turmoil, because you're in a relationship and everybody has feelings and everybody wants their feelings to be known, and you to take in consideration of what they want, and it just pulls you in different ways. So I'm just fine. I've left my life in his hands, and whatever he chooses will happen. If he chooses for me to find a husband, then I will have one. If he chooses for me not, then I won't. I started talking about the moral fiber of the community. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to understand that we've poisoned our community enough. You don't see the young men helping the old ladies across the street and helping them with their groceries. We don't see any of the values and the morals or the whatever that we were taught back in the day. Those things are gone. If you tell kids stories about, or what your grandparents had, how they lived or on, they probably would be like, what? They had to walk to school? How far? I'm not walking nowhere. I'm not even taking the, because some of them are too good to take the bus. I'm not, They had to wear what? I wouldn't be wearing those sloshy, what are they called? Rain boots? I wouldn't be wearing you couldn't get me to wear those. They had to shovel their snow. I wish I would get out in that cold and shovel snow. What kind of toys did they didn't get toys? Well, I don't know what I would do without my Xbox, my PS5, my Oculus, my hoverboard, my scooter, my dirt bike, my and this is what we can't really be mad, because this is what we have done. We let them do things and still, we let them get in trouble, and then we still buy them things that they don't need. I don't understand. I know the GTA game is making a lot of money, but I don't understand why parents who are trying to keep their sons or daughters out of trouble would allow their child to play a game that has them driving and chasing the cops and shooting at people and running people over in cars and going to the bars, strip clubs, and having women dancing and what's the moral, what's the end game, what points are you getting, what are you trying to accomplish to win this game? I'm not understanding. But yet we give them these games. They're vulnerable because they're just finding themselves trying to decide what life is, and they play these games all day and all night, and then they think it's cool because the rappers are suggesting it in real life that it's cool. and then they get life and mixed around with fantasy, and it just gets all twisted in their head, and there's a possibility that they can become what they see in those games. I don't really, I don't, because I am a black woman, like I said, when I do all my research, I focus on my community and what's going on in my community. What I think I need to do is start researching the white community. What makes them, not saying that they're perfect, and I'm not saying that their kids don't do things, but what makes most of their kids decide that they want to do good in school and go to college or play instruments and do all those kind of things? What is the difference? What is it? Is it because they have a two-parent home? Is it just the fact that children need two parents? Or is it the fact that children have to have these things given to them from the start? Like, parents should be able to send their kids to private school or get them away from the inner city, and introduce them to other things like science and sports and golf and all those things. Is that what it takes to change a child's decisions in life? Because it seems like the majority of Caucasian students, white students, their life is already planned for them. Like, their parents tell them, you're going to do this, you're going to play the piano, you're going to go to school, you're going to keep good grades, then you're going to go, and then they just follow that path. And then if they get a B instead of an A, they're depressed and they're crying and So I don't know if my study will bring me to that part. Is it just the environment? Is it just having two parents that are already well-to-do, so that they are, in case, they need certain things, that their parents are able to help them, to make them successful. And then we sit around, and if our child is learning slower than the rest of the class, instead of being able to pay for that tutor or that private school, makes them work harder or pushes them harder to learn, they put our kids in a special class and label them for the rest of their life. So you tell the child that they're not smart, and they have a learning disability, and that's what they believe. So they believe everything in their life is it's going to they're going to be a disappointment. They're not going to be able to do anything other than have a low-paying job or whatever. And believe me, people start out programs with good intentions, but somewhere along the way they've lost the true meaning. It's just now when they get reports and we are supposed to have this many kids enrolled and having this many, and so it starts to become just any child that you feel is, close to what they are looking for. You just push them into that category and label them, and then determine their life, and that's how they feel. I just want everyone to take a, just listen, just understand what we need to do is, because we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. You can have a round table, a square table, a no table. What is needed to help change the future of our kids, our children? And maybe it takes for someone to research. I do believe that a child with a better chance will have a better chance if they have all those resources, afforded to them. But I also know that just because a child is in a situation that is not that great does not mean that they cannot overcome and be great. There's a lot of black men in history that have come from horrible beginnings and have become great. So there's really no excuse, because what they went through was nothing. What they went through was, they had no choice. We have a choice to decide if we're going to bring kids into the world and make sure that they have a good life, a good start, so that they can become somebody. So that's what I wanted you to think about today. I hope everyone has a blessed day. I hope you're being able to handle situations that are going on, and that you're happy. Take time to do something happy. If having a strawberry shortcake makes you happy, get you a strawberry shortcake. If getting a pedicure makes you happy, get a pedicure. Be kind to one another. Show somebody that you care. Help somebody out. Say kind words to someone. And just try to, make a difference. Until next time.